woman from Bradford who masterminded a complex and lucrative coke trafficking operation, enlisting 5 of her own kids to act as couriers, has been sentenced to more than 13 years in prison at Birmingham Crown Court. Farzana Kauser, the ringleader of the sophisticated criminal enterprise, used her family to execute an elaborate smuggling scheme that brought in high-purity coke worth nearly £40 million into the UK between August and November 2024. The gang's meticulous method relied on exploiting vulnerabilities in airport security, using returning flights to disguise their movements and import large volumes of unaccompanied drugs. The conspiracy unravelled on the 11th of November 2024 when officers from the NCA arrested 6 individuals in the arrivals area of Birmingham Airport. The group had just collected 6 identical suitcases containing a combined total of around 180 kilos of coke, which had been flown in from Cancún in Mexico. Kauser orchestrated the operation from her home in Bradford, recruiting 5 of her own children, some of whom were still teenagers at the time, to carry out the risky international trafficking rungs. Her calculated decision to involve her children in such high-stakes criminal activity has drawn widespread condemnation. Only one member of the group, Khalid Abdul Kawi, was not a relative. He was linked to a separate organised crime group and acted as a courier for hire, picking up drug-laden suitcases on their behalf. During the course of the investigation, it was revealed that the gang made at least 5 successful smuggling runs before being apprehended. Their method involved booking short return flights, typically to Dublin or Amsterdam, without any checked luggage. The return leg of each trip was carefully timed to coincide with an incoming flight from Mexico. Once back at Birmingham Airport, rather than retrieving luggage from their actual flight's carousel, gang members would proceed directly to the luggage belt for the Cancún flight, where suitcases preloaded with coke were waiting. By walking out through customs with the smuggled bags as if they were their own, they were able to avoid suspicion until the NCA clocked on what was actually happening. So the mother, Kauser, is believed to have worked with an unidentified accomplice in Pakistan who was known as Uncle to help with the smuggling of coke from Cancun to the UK. She claimed she was only there to collect her children when they arrived at the airport, and basically some of these drugs were due to be handed over to a courier while the rest would be taken back to Kauser's home and moved on from there. The NCA had also discovered that it had been the 5th time the group had couriered coke into Birmingham Airport between August and November 2024. As I said, they used to book 1 or 2 night trips to Amsterdam or Dublin and travel without any luggage, but they timed their return to Birmingham at the same time as the flight from Cancun. Quite a clever idea, actually. At Birmingham Crown Court, the judge, he handed down a series of substantial prison sentences to the members of the drug smuggling gang, describing the operation as a cynical and deeply disturbing abuse of familial trust and loyalty. He condemned Farzana Kauser, the matriarch and mastermind behind the enterprise, as someone who had used her position as a mother not to nurture or protect, but to exploit, manipulate and endanger her own children. She got a big sentence, guys. She got 13 years and 4 months in prison, which reflected the central and controlling role she played in coordinating the smuggling strategy, financing the trips and assigning tasks to her children with calculated precision. Then you got Safanur, who was just 19 years old at the time of her offending and was still in her late teens when sentenced. She was handed down another big sentence. She got 7 years and 2 months. The court heard she was one of the couriers who physically collected the coke-filled suitcases following instructions and played a key role in multiple trips. Judge Everett acknowledged her youth and family pressure, but made it clear that her full participation in the smuggling trips justified a significant custodial sentence. Then you got Mohammed Amar Shafiq. He received a sentence of 8 years and 9 months. The court heard he acted both as a courier and a coordinator, helping arrange travel logistics and monitoring airport movements. His position within the conspiracy was described as pivotal, though slightly subordinate. Then you got Umair Mohammed, who also participated directly in collecting and transporting the coke-laden suitcases. He was sentenced to 8 years and 1 month. The court was told he had full knowledge of the scale of the risk of the conspiracy and had willingly taken part in several smuggling runs. Then you got Junaid Shafak. He played the trusted lieutenant role in the organisation, assisting Kauser in orchestrating flights and coaching other couriers. He was given 10 years and 9 months in prison, a sentence reflecting both his seniority in the conspiracy and the extent of his involvement across multiple phases of the operation. The only non-family member of the group, Khalid Abdul Qawi, was sentenced to 10 years and 9 months, although not a blood relative. He had been brought into the conspiracy as a trusted courier who transported drugs on behalf of a linked criminal organisation. The judge remarked that Abdul Qawi was fully aware of the scale of the scope of the crime and had no mitigating family pressures to excuse his actions. In addition, 2 of the defendants were dealt for their lesser roles, but still serious roles. You've got Hamza Shafak and Sarah Hussein. So in delivering the sentences, Judge Everett said this was not a momentary lapse of judgment or a crime of desperation. It was a prolonged and deliberate campaign of drug trafficking, one that involved repeated planning, travel to deception. The use of unaccompanied luggage, time flights and family loyalty created an operation that might have gone undetected indefinitely if it were not for the vigilance of law enforcement. Yet it's particularly tragic that the person pulling the strings was the mother. She should have protected her children from the dangers of crime. Instead, she was leading them straight into it. So, Rick McKenzie, the senior investigating officer at the NCA, also spoke about the case. He goes that she projected the image of being a caring, respectable mother in a community. Everybody loved her. But behind closed doors, she was leading a sophisticated criminal enterprise, one that operated with military-like precision. She carefully coached her children on how to evade detection, erase digital evidence, and treated smuggling trips as routine errands. She showed little regard for the safety or futures of her own children, one of whom was only 17 years old when they were recruited to the plot. That same child was entrusted with collecting massive quantities of Class A drugs, substances that ruin lives, fuel violence, and sustain vast criminal networks. Mackenzie went on to reaffirm the NCA's commitment to fighting drug trafficking, saying Class A drugs pose one of the most serious threats to public health and safety in the UK. He said the NCA will continue working with partners at home and internationally to disrupt the supply lines and dismantle the networks that profit from them. So guys, this is a story coming in from Yorkshire. Absolute madness, guys. So as I said, a mother from Bradford who used her kids to smuggle nearly £40 million worth of coke into the UK from Mexico has been jailed alongside her family members. Let me know what you think in the comments below. It's your boy GT. Keep it locked, keep it real.